The package was wrapped in cheerful blue paper, icky, but what was inside nearly dismantled an entire intelligence operation. From your favorite little spy, that's what my sister wrote on the box. She thought it was funny. The system thought it was a threat, and me, I was the one who had to decide whether to save her or finally let her face the consequences she always escaped. I was laughing. We don't laugh much on base. But it was my birthday, and the girls in the intel unit had smuggled in a cupcake with a single blue candle. We were in the mailroom, sterile gray, uneventful, and someone had just handed me a shiny package wrapped in blue foil with silver stars. It screamed Sam. My sister's handwriting danced across the top to Leah from your favorite little spy. I froze. So did the clerk. And then the air changed. Step away from the package, a voice said behind me. It was Colonel Marshall. The man rarely left his command center. If he was here, something was very wrong. I glanced at the label again. That stupid sentence. From your favorite little spy. It was a joke, a private sarcastic jab Sam had made ever since I joined the army. She never believed my job was real. I was just quiet. Little Leah probably doing admin work. In her world of Instagram reels and marketing awards, I was the boring one, invisible. But in my world, that phrase wasn't cute. It was a trigger phrase, a known recognition signal used by a hostile cell we had been tracking for over a year. That's why the base went into lockdown. That's why the package was sealed into evidence. That's why Colonel Marshall's jaw was clenched when he looked at me and said, "Your sister just tripped Operation Red Flag. This isn't just a joke anymore." I didn't speak. My stomach had turned to stone. Just hours before, I had been reviewing chatter from a known network attempting to breach CENTCOM, our most secure intelligence backbone. We had barely fended off an infiltration last quarter. If that package hadn't been intercepted, no, I couldn't even finish the thought. This wasn't just carelessness. This was a breach. Colonel Marshall met my eyes again, this time quieter. I need your assessment specialist, Tran, not as her sister, as lead analyst. He didn't ask if I was okay. He didn't need to. Because in that moment, I wasn't Leah, the sister who sat in silence at Thanksgiving. I was Echo 7, and this was my war. The last time my family truly saw me was never. But the last time they pretended to Christmas. We were all at my parents' house, pretending we liked each other, pretending we were whole. The dining table was set with linen napkins and too many forks. The centerpiece was obnoxious gold pine cones and fake snow, probably something Sam had found on Pinterest. She was in the middle of a story animated loud basking in the attention, and the campaign hit too. 3 million impressions in the first 12 hours. It trended on TikTok for 6 hours straight. Everyone clapped like seals. My dad leaned back in his chair, beaming with pride. That's my girl, always making waves. I just sipped water. I had just come off a 12-hour shift, tracking a destabilization cell operating out of Belarus. We'd intercepted raw encrypted data and flagged 2 possible code-red transmissions. That same day, a leak had been contained barely thanks to my analysis. But how do you bring that to the dinner table? So I didn't, until I made a mistake. I tried. I got my DLAP scores back, defense language aptitude battery. I ranked in the top 1%. Silence. My father blinked. What's that? Some sort of test? It's a linguistic pattern recognition exam. For that's nice, honey, he interrupted, reaching over to pat my hand. All those books finally paying off. Then the kicker. But Samantha, she's out there, real world, making a difference. I bit my tongue so hard it bled. Sam didn't gloat, not out loud. She just gave me a look, not cruel, but worse. Pity. The kind of look you give a child who thinks their finger painting is worth framing. Later, I sat alone on the back porch while they all watched Sam's viral campaign on TV. My world, the skiff, the terminals, the encrypted audio streams, none of it existed to them. They didn't want to understand because understanding required effort. And Sam was just easier. That night, I promised myself something. I would never try to be understood again. And I kept that promise until her package arrived. And suddenly, they didn't need to understand me because now they were about to fear me. The briefing room was cold. Fluorescent lights hummed above me. Across the long steel table sat the package now sealed in a plastic evidence bag tagged time-stamped and radioactive in more ways than one. Colonel Marshall didn't waste time. He steepled his fingers, his voice firm but low. Protocol was triggered. The system assumes hostile intent until proven otherwise. But he looked at me. There's discretion. Discretion. That word hung between us like a loaded weapon. I can classify this as a non-credible domestic instance, overzealous algorithm. It'll be buried. Your sister goes back to brunch and brand deals. You go back to signals. We call it nothing. I knew what he was offering. Mercy. Not for me, for her. For the golden child. I looked down at the file, her handwriting, that little loop in the Y spy, always a joke to her. But here in this world, a joke wasn't just dangerous, it was deadly. She hadn't meant harm, she never means harm, but she never cares who gets hurt either. And I was done protecting her from consequences. I met his eyes. No, sir. He didn't flinch. Sharma Tran, I corrected. Specialist Leah Tran, and the protocol was triggered by data provided. It must be followed fully. I could see something shift behind his expression, not surprise. Respect. He nodded once crisp, understood, and just like that, my sister became a subject, not family, not friend. A name on a watch list. I walked down the sterile hall to the secure terminals, logged in. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I hesitated, not because I doubted myself, but because I realized how much of her life I already knew. Sam made it easy. Every location tagged post, every joke about her mystery agent sister, every selfie taken dangerously close to my restricted base. Her digital trail was reckless. So I entered her name, pulled up everything. Photos, captions, podcast appearances. She even joked once that my sister's in the CIA or something, but she won't say it. So I just call her my little spy. Laughed, got 1,000 likes. That laugh cost her everything. I compiled it all. No embellishment, no emotion, just facts, just data. By midnight, the report was done. Preliminary threat file ready for review. Sam Tran, civilian, possible breach instigator. At the bottom, I signed it Echo 7, and as I hit submit, I didn't feel guilt. I felt still. This wasn't revenge. It was the system working. And for once, I wasn't on the outside watching. I was the one pulling the lever. They brought her in at EO 800. 2 military police. No cuffs, not yet. But no smiles either. Sam walked into the gray box of Interrogation Room 3 like she was entering a boutique meeting room in Manhattan. Blazer, lip gloss, that same forced confidence I'd seen 100 times on her live streams. But this room didn't care. It didn't react. It didn't adjust to her energy. It absorbed it. I watched from behind a one-way glass wall, arms folded jaw tight. There were no mirrors here, no ring lights, no filters, just silence thick enough to choke. She sat, waited, and when no one came right away, she got nervous. She paced, checked the corners, pulled out her phone, which was promptly confiscated. Then she started talking to herself. This is insane. Probably some mistake. Leah must have said something wrong. They'll fix it. I'll call Dad. Maybe even go public. Still clinging to the rules of her world where the loudest voice wins. She had no idea those rules didn't apply here. Finally, the door hissed open. Colonel Marshall entered, alone. He didn't smile, didn't offer her a seat, didn't ask how she was. Ms. Samantha Tran, he began, voice flat. You are the sender of a package that triggered a level 4 security alert at this facility. Sam blinked. Oh, what? It was a birthday gift for my sister. Are you serious right now? He didn't blink. That package contained a phrase associated with an active foreign intelligence recognition signal, addressed to a secure analyst inside a classified network node. She laughed too loudly. It was a joke. Ask Leah. She'll tell you. It's just a joke we've always had. But her voice cracked at the edges. She was unraveling. He didn't stop. We are determining whether you were coerced, compromised, or acted with intent. That word intent landed like a slap. I know that's ridiculous. I would never. But that's when the second door opened, and I walked in. No cuffs, no shame. Army service uniform pressed to perfection, my ribbons aligned, my rank displayed, and the classified report in my hand. I didn't look at her. Sir, I said to Colonel Marshall, preliminary assessment is complete. I flipped open the file, spoke slowly. The phrase used on the package is a known recognition marker used by a compromised SVR sleeper cell we have tracked for 18 months. Its use and delivery location triggered an automated counterintelligence response. Operation Red Flag. Sam's mouth hung open. No words, only realization. Her face lost all color, and when Colonel Marshall spoke again, it was with quiet finality. Your sister, Ms. Tran, is not a clerk. She is Specialist Echo 7 Lead Signals Analyst for this division. She is the one investigating you. That's when her world collapsed. Not with shouting, not with sirens, but with the sound of everything she thought she knew falling to pieces. 6 hours. That's how long she sat in that room. I watched the video feed, watched her legs bounce under the table, watched her bravado evaporate, replaced by fear, then silence, then stillness. By the end, she wasn't a social media darling. She was a ghost of herself. Her makeup had smudged, her blazer wrinkled. Her voice, when she tried to speak, trembled. She'd signed everything: the national security letter, the NDA, the acknowledgement of official warning, permanent record, federal file. Sam Tran, formerly influencer now, a risk formally documented by the United States government. And still, somehow, she thought she could fix it. As the MPs led her out, she saw me. I was across the hall, standing with 2 other analysts. We were reviewing a mission file. I was pointing at a map on a tablet, calmly explaining the data streams. She stopped. She stared. Her lips parted like she wanted to speak. I didn't let her. I turned, gave her a nod of kindness, nod of invitation, dismissal, just like she used to give me. 1 second of eye contact. Then I turned back to my work and kept walking, my voice steady, discussing threat grids and call sign chatter as if she wasn't even there. Because in that moment, she wasn't. For the first time in her life, Sam was the invisible one, and I was exactly where I belonged. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, not angry, not satisfied, just free. No more chasing approval, no more shrinking myself to fit her story. She'd finally stepped into mine, and I hadn't needed revenge. I hadn't needed to scream or prove anything. I just stood still. While her own momentum took her over the edge, she thought the world would always bend to her, that the spotlight was permanent, that mistakes had no weight because she could laugh them away. But here in my world, mistakes echo. They get archived, coded, stamped with consequence. She thought she was sending a gift, but she delivered clarity, and I accepted it without gratitude. 6 months later, I stood behind a podium. The room was secure, Tier 3 clearance only. Rows of new analysts sat before me, their faces bright, nervous, hungry to matter. I remembered that feeling. Behind me, the projection screen displayed a case study, file number 73B, Domestic Origin Anomaly. It detailed a triggered protocol, a civilian sender, a known recognition phrase. It read like a textbook chapter, sanitized, anonymized, precise. But it was my life. My voice was calm, even, professional. The subject's casual use of a known hostile signal combined with the delivery address initiated a Level 4 counterintelligence response. The protocol functioned exactly as designed. Emotion has no place in the system. The class nodded, taking notes. A few looked uneasy. I understood. I had been them once, thinking intelligence was abstract far away. But it wasn't. It had a name, a face. Sometimes it looked like your sister. I clicked to the next slide. Lessons learned. Never dismiss the weight of public behavior. Digital footprints are data. Humor is not a defense in the world of threat matrices. And most of all, I looked up. Family is not an exception to protocol. The words left no space for sympathy. They weren't meant to, because by then I had shed that skin, the girl at the Christmas table, the quiet one, the afterthought. I was Lieutenant Leah Tran. Echo 7 was no longer just my call sign, it was my authority. Colonel Marshall was waiting near the back of the room. When the briefing ended, he approached. "That was well done, Lieutenant," he said. "He didn't pat my hand. He didn't say I'm proud of you. He didn't need to." His words were clean, solid, grounded in respect. "You took a personal breach and transformed it into professional resilience. That's what leadership looks like." I nodded, quietly, because I knew something then. I didn't need my father's approval. I didn't need Sam's spotlight. I didn't need to be clapped for at some dinner table. This, the skiff, the silence, the certainty, this was my stage. And for the first time, I wasn't surviving in someone else's world. I had built my own, and I wasn't looking back. The promotion came quietly. No cake, no photos, just a new office with a view of the perimeter fence and a security badge with a higher clearance. It was everything I wanted. The desk was bigger, the work harder. I was leading an ops cell now, coordinating multiple analysts across 4 time zones. Every hour, my screen lit up with chatter alerts and cryptid spikes. Real-time stakes. I loved it. And then the email came. It landed in my inbox like a stray snowflake in a war zone. From samantha.tran@gmail.com subject. I'm so sorry. I stared at it, not because I was surprised, but because once I would have opened that instantly. Once I would have cried over it, read it twice, highlighted phrases like, I didn't know, I didn't mean to, I'm sorry for how I treated you. But now, it was just an email. Curiosity flickered. I clicked. It was long. Paragraph after paragraph of tangled guilt. She wrote about the interrogation, about how scared she'd been, how broken she'd felt afterward, how mom and dad were devastated that I had let it go that far. She said she never knew how much I did, how much I meant, that she always thought of me as her quiet little sister who needed protecting. She wrote about herself, about how hard this had been for her. I stopped reading by paragraph 4, not out of anger, but because I felt nothing. No hate, no heat, just quiet, the kind I'd fought my whole life to earn. I moved my mouse, clicked archive, didn't respond. Because her validation, it wasn't a currency I accepted anymore. She had her world built on noise-like impressions, and I had mine, built on silence, precision, truth. I turned back to my main screen, a 3D holographic map pulsing with potential threat clusters. One of my junior analysts was pinging in asking for review on a packet sniff trace. I smiled, typed on it, and meant it. My sister once sent me a gift to remind me who she thought I was. Instead, my commander showed her who I had become. So if you've ever been overlooked, silenced, dismissed, not because you were weak, but because you were quiet, let me tell you something. You don't need to get louder. You just need to get sharper. And when your moment comes, let your truth speak louder than any spotlight ever could. I used to think if I just tried harder, they'd see me. If I worked late enough, stayed quiet enough, earned enough badges, maybe one day I'd be enough. But sometimes the people who dismiss you aren't waiting for proof. They're just comfortable with you being small. My sister didn't ruin my life. She revealed who I was and who I no longer needed permission to be. That moment in the briefing room, when she finally saw me not as her weird, bookish little sister, but as someone powerful, decisive, respected. That was the moment I let go, of needing to be loved the same way, of needing to be understood at all. Because when you know who you are, you don't chase the spotlight. You become the storm that bends it. What would you do if your sister's joke almost cost national security? Have you ever had to let go of your family just to find yourself? Let me know below. This is a space where your signal is always received loud and clear. Like, comment, and subscribe for more true revenge stories.